All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Engineering the Markets. Happy fresh week of the February 7th, 2022. Welcome to a fresh Monday and a brand new week in the market for us to evaluate and sort of navigate as we are seeing plenty of volatility for us to take advantage of. So, as always, my name is Jared, and as I've been doing over the past couple of weeks, I like to kind of start off our Monday session with a theme for the week. And to this week's theme is going to be mostly on correlation and yields. We're going to be talking pretty heavily this week about what's occurring in the bond market, as I think a lot of people are still somewhat perplexed by some of the dynamics of the yield and the effects it can have on market conditions. We're also seeing plenty of sort of flattening of different yield curves, and specifically some of the volatility that we saw on Friday with the 10-year rising once again to a new relative swing high. There's going to be plenty of charts and analyses for us to sort of gain some fresh insight for the week ahead. But before we get into all that, let's start off as we always do on the week. And let's talk about the SPX expected move for February 11th. Now, for those just joining us, we often look at the S&P 500 index, and this is the option market expected move for the week ending in the Friday series, or the Friday series expiration for this week. What we like to do with this information is it gives us a sense of expected volatility for the week ahead, along with the idea that given this is one of the largest option markets at all times in terms of notional value and some of the professional trade going on in this product, whenever you see breaches and specifically larger closes and moves away from these areas, it can really change the dynamic of the weekly trade. You'll often see heightened volatility as we move away from these levels. And especially if we continue to break away, we often see sort of those high volatility and high fear events that we saw about 2.5 weeks prior. So starting off this week and discussing a bit of last week. Last week we did have an expected move of approximately 137 points. And this was based on the previous Friday's close, giving us this sort of range of expectation up into about the 45.70s and down into the 42.90s, which is a pretty wide range of expected movement, given that we just came from a more expansive expected move on the following week, or the previous week. Now, the market did give us a little bit more in that expected movement. We saw an actual move of about 163.5. And what I've gone ahead and marked is the nuance of how wide is this expected move compared to the actual move. We saw about 1.18 times more movement than what the option market was pricing, at least from middle to high. And of course, the market did pull in on the week, closing at approximately 4,500, very psychological and high open interest area for the option market itself. Now, stepping into this week, we're looking at an expected move of 107.48, which gives us a top side level of about 46.08 and a downside level of about 43.93. There's some additional nuance that we'll talk about on the S&P chart. It'll be easier to see inside of the SPY ETF itself. But some notes here. We are seeing a little bit of volatility contraction continue after we saw our high volume sell-off come to an end. Excuse me. We also are seeing that the volatility of the market itself in regards to volatility futures has come down significantly from that spike high. And as we've discussed in depth on the past couple of sessions, volatility futures, once in a state of backwardation or that inverted curve in regards to the product depth, that has once again stabilized, but isn't quite as clear cut as it has been on previous, I'll say, volatility spikes. Yes, we are back into a normal state of contango in this market. We're no longer in that awkward backwardation phase where things are much more fear driven and volatility tends to continue to bid. But as we have gone back into this state, we want to see this curve, specifically the March and April curves, continue to widen as that fear either continues to abate or you see a lot less hedging activity occurring from some of our high institutional interests, basically a lack of hedging need in this market. And oftentimes we can look at volatility futures. We can look at things like the VVIX, which is just how is the volatility being priced in the moment, sort of a dynamic acceleration model for volatility pricing. Are they bidding it as the price is rising, or is it coming down even though the price continues to rise? Sort of an internal look into volatility. A lot of these have shifted back into not necessarily nominal structures, but much less elevated than we saw 2 weeks prior. And this was indicative of the type of bounce that we saw over the past couple of sessions. Usually when you see volatility fall off very precipitously, the market can recover in some form of basically it's an option dynamic structure. The idea that the market recovers based on some of the option dynamics in play. So let's take a look at our S&Ps, and I'll go ahead and throw up our normal studies here just to show where we've been and talk about some of the sentiment that's in this market. Obviously, looking at sort of the downside that we encountered, the counter trend rally that took place over the past couple of sessions, and then over the past 2 sessions, excuse me, we did see the market draw back down, form a little bit of a structural gap, and we'll talk about this area in just a moment, along with continuing to sort of hang below a previous trading range. We certainly did see early signs of this breakout in regards to a retracement breakout, the volume sort of acceleration that started to take place, even though the bullish volume was starting to decline. It did move away from our trading range lows. And then as we can see on a short-term basis, if I go ahead and just mark this candle high, the market has somewhat stabilized in this upper back test. Now, a couple things about market structure, and this is very just high level given that we're still on the daily chart, but we saw a market that came into a very notable low, a fear-based low, sort of capitulation low, lots of discussion of margin calls occurring throughout the marketplace, people having to sell assets that they didn't necessarily want to sell, but in order to cover some of the downside risks that their portfolio is taking, everything has to be sort of normalized, regardless of if the portfolio holder wanted to liquidate or not. And that sets up our relative low for the market, something that we've been measuring retracement size from something that we've been evaluating whether or not the market wants to retest. And during that week, we had information from the Fed in regards to future rate hike expectations and some of the continued inflation that we are experiencing as retail participants. We see it in our everyday lives, but we also see it in regards to some of the pricing models that are changing throughout this this year. So one thing that's sort of a nuanced observation here is whenever the Fed came out with this information, the market essentially gapped or started moving higher on this session and found a topside level at approximately 44 or 444.04. Very just nuanced price level. We're just marking the absolute high of that trading range before a very clear breakout occurred last week. Now, as the market topped on this bullish counter trend rally, whatever you want to call it, it is truly a range breakout, but it is coming off of a fear-based range, not necessarily an all-time high breakout or something that has trended in this direction prior. It's simply the opposite effect occurring. Oftentimes, due to the sentiment, due to the fact that this is a breakout from a downtrend, and oftentimes because of market auction, the price will need to come and retest some of these levels basically to infer whether or not the market wants to continue trading or transacting at these lower range prices, or if it is simply done with the lower auction and is willing to move at the very least in an upper trading range, a new range of transaction. A lot of people call this sort of the resistance turn support, the idea that when you get a clean breakout and when setting up new trade ideas, you often want to allow for confirmation that the range you were trading in is no longer relevant to current pricing. Is the market ready to hold this upper bound range and move forward, especially in the bullish context? Now, the reason I bring all this up and just kind of giving some context for why we're looking at it, excuse me. I couldn't take my voice breaking any further, so a little bit of water there. As we see the market has come back into this zone, this retest of an upper trading range, trying to move into the week ahead may depend quite heavily on how we trade around this price level. The reason being is there certainly feels as if the market structure has broken in a lot of ways. We certainly lost a trend line, notable here, a very prominent trend line that the market had been trading in. We saw the fear of the market sell-off, but we also saw the optimism return as the market started to recover. People might say bull trap. They might say this is a counter trend rally in a larger bear market, all of which may still be true, but we want to take things sort of one step at a time. If the market truly wants to continue lower, then one thing that may need to take place is we need to get a clear rejection of a previous trading range high and a return into a fear zone of the market, price levels that induced volatility and sort of worsening uncertainty of expectations in the future. What we're seeing at the moment, at least in the short term, is that the market is not returning to these price levels. We saw the back test, and so far it is a Friday close, so there are some other dynamics. Market was able to close above this trading range on the session that the back test occurred. Now, you can argue that there are some underlyings that forced some of this downside pressure. We obviously saw the likes of Meta platforms reporting on Thursday. The loss of market cap that occurred was the single largest market cap loss for the entire stock market on a single underlying. And then we saw Amazon the following session on the Friday. And that sort of recovered a lot of that market cap just from a sort of capital perspective. Billions lost through Meta platforms earning, billions sort of return through Amazon. And what this has formed is a 2-day area of the market where obviously the market was unable to move much higher, forming the gap of consideration that we'll go ahead and mark at this point. You want to be thinking from high to low, not necessarily from the level. Sorry. You want to be thinking from high to low, where the gap structure actually is. Market was moving in a bullish direction. We closed high. And then, of course, the next session we closed below the lows and also sold off. So we have an area of interest from the gap close to the gap open with some topping and bottoming tails in between. This zone or this range of the market is what we're trying to beat as bulls. We're assuming for now that the back test of Friday's session in holding above a trading range high is a sort of stop out level. It's an area that the market has to hold in regards to continued bullish setups. Because ultimately, if we lose this range, or if we lose the downside of Friday, the lowest prints, not only are we back at the 200-day moving average, an area that the market had to basically close below, trade for a couple of sessions before recovering. Not only do we lose this, but we also fall back into our volatility range. This is going to be so critical for things like Volatility Futures, that evaluation of contango, but not quite the, I would say, the full alleviation of fear. Definitely a bit of continued uncertainty, people not willing to step in quite yet, but they're understanding that the sell-off was very dramatic in its nature and very fast to fall. Basically, the speed of the sell-off was notable given where we came from. Now, I'm going to take this view and sort of look at things that are similar in nature. We obviously look at the Nasdaq very often for similar analysis. Nasdaq holding a lot of our key underlyings, most of which have reported at this time, at least the top holdings. We saw Meta, Amazon, and even Google, which once again was a winner in the short term, along with announcing the 20-for-1 stock split, which may bring in additional bullish sentiment as people obviously are looking for Google to possibly become a Dow component after the stock split is performed. But in the likes of the Nasdaq, this same sort of analysis with the understanding that there are key differences here. The Nasdaq has not recovered its 200-day moving average. In fact, it's actually left a bit of a bullish trap. This particular sell-off that occurred in Meta platforms, especially for people sort of taking a long entry on a recovery or a close above the 200-day, are left a little bit wanting because we did close below these prices on Thursday and Friday session. We also have some nuance in that same form with regards to our gap. We want to be thinking once again that this rectangle, this area of overhead sort of trading misinformation or lack of information, a void of information from a price perspective, continues to be an area of concern. And then last but not least, thinking in terms of patterns or structure. The market tried to return into our most volatile lower bound trading range, once again, just marking the Wednesday high of the Fed. And as we can see on Friday's session, we just barely closed above this price, and we still have a gap above that is causing some lack of enthusiasm. Obviously wanting to fill that gap and sort of repair structure, along with when you think about types of gaps, you want to be thinking about a gap that gets filled quickly, the sentiment that occurred as the gap formed, the fear of meta platform selling or just a return into retesting lower prices. We can fill that gap and start to move forward from it. The sentiment change really starts to be outlined from a technical perspective in the repair of the structure and the negation of the gap itself. Usually, if a true sentiment change has occurred and a gap forms in a market, the gap closure or the repairing of the gap and the speed at which it is occurring is often indicative of whether that sentiment was true or a bit short-sighted. And obviously, over the next couple of days, if this gap can be repaired, that sentiment shift that was trying to take place, the fear returning into another tech sell-off, may start to alleviate. And we may simply see not necessarily an all-out bullish rally. I'm trying to temper expectations for the week ahead. We don't have a lot of tech earnings. We don't really have a lot of necessarily straightforward catalysts outside of the CPI report that's coming out on Wednesday. But in regards to a bullish drift, the idea of risk to reward, the idea here that the market may still want to climb slightly higher before seeing more sell side activity. A lot of it is going to be focused around this Wednesday high that occurred on all these products and the gap structure that formed on Thursday and Friday's session. So some levels to keep in mind are obviously these gap levels and some of the topping and bottoming tails of the past couple of days. For the S&P, I absolutely would keep that Wednesday high marked, not only because it is much more clear in regards to the back test, but if we do start to retest this area, the type of risk to reward that we're seeing in the market, you can see this on an intraday time frame. We're talking about mere 20 to 30 cents for a product that provided upwards of $9 of topside movement from this low. It's a very important level for the market to respond to, and ultimately for that gap to potentially be repaired based around the recovery of this level or the holding of this level. Now, as we are looking at correlations and yields this week, I'll start off just by looking at some of the movement last Friday, especially in regards to TLT, the 20-plus year bond ETF that we often refer to. We do have a fresh low in TLT. We have lost our trading range support. That was a nice closure below, and we are now looking at levels that can provide additional downside, at least from high to low structure. We'll probably start to be looking at where this market wants to head and just marking off some ideas for downside targets. This is truly a tradable product. So if you are looking for short plays and a continuing downtrend that is providing better risk to reward to the downside, TLT might be something to watch. not necessarily to step in immediately, but keep in mind where this market rejects. The 20 period has been a nice clear area to sort of step in with short biased positions, but additionally be looking for these downside targets. We are not in an open air trading range. We do have some previous levels, and we're just trying to see where is this market headed next, because we do have a very clear and clean breakdown on the trading range. We might see the back test, and that might be another opportunity to look for short plays. Now, obviously, bonds going down, notes going down. We can look at ZN really quickly just to show this classic downtrend pullback, bear flag breakdown, fresh lows in this product. And this is very relevant lows in regards to context. We're talking about massive pullback lows being lost in this product on last week's session. Very notable breakdowns, very clear intent for this market to head lower. And that obviously spiked up our 10-year interest rate. So on Friday's session, there were some risk on types of plays being made. We saw some volatility in crypto. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. We saw the 10-year yield rise very fast, fresh swing high, fresh relative high. And once again, that topside target of about 2%, very likely in regards to our location and the expectation of movement based around the range that we broke from. It's all about expectation of move based around high to low consolidation and intent of the market. So keep these in mind as we move throughout the week. Correlations continue to be high, and especially very clear breakouts and breakdowns are providing the type of volatility and the market shift or the sector rotation forces at play that can lead to 1 or 2 day movement with lots of follow through. So as always, trade safe. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. We'll go into this a bit more throughout the week. As always, reach out to me with any questions, and we'll talk more tomorrow. So see you then.
A second, I think my volume is not showing. Hey, can you guys hear me now, Norm?
I do have an echo though, so
Oh yeah,
you know,
something's up. Um,
echo was on my side that I was getting from you. So I think you're good.
okay, we'll get going. All right, guys. Sorry for the slight delay there. Couldn't find my regular Dash app. I don't know why. Something happened. It was not on the start screen. But either way, we are good to go. Let's talk about our gappers list this morning. Hopefully, everybody had an amazing weekend. A lot to look at today, especially with some fun stuff happening over the weekend with Piton and everything else. We'll get into all that fun stuff this morning. As you can see here, Piton is leading the way this morning, up 31%. And then a couple other names here. I see Bitcoin is doing a pretty nice this morning. Mara, HUD, and Riot also on this list. And we have a couple of names we see in the past: AMC, NKLA, and IonQ. So we'll dig into those in just a sec. And then gapping down today, guys, a stock that we like quite a bit is going to be Baba on the leading the way this morning, and then a couple of others on here. But definitely looking forward to seeing what's causing Baba some of that downplay action today. It's a nice trading stock at times. With that said, before we get into any of that, let's go over to the market post and kind of see uh, what's going on for this week here.
Yeah, man, we're a little bit green. Spies up 2/10, Q's up a third of a percent. Currently rolling over a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Don't really have much economic data today. The big number for the week is Thursday. Inflation data, CPI data out that some people think might show a deceleration in the rate at the growth of inflation. So I know that was a lot of uh, stuff right there, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it does.
Yep. We sure will. Should be an interesting week. We
Not
had
that
we can
things aren't getting more, still getting more expensive, but they're not getting more expensive quite as quickly as they have over the last year. Maybe I can't hear you.
about that. Okay, how about now?
There we go.
All
Yep.
right, sorry about that. It's Monday. My computer's still trying to wake up and get going. As I think I am trying to as well. All right, guys. Let's get to it. Let's look at our gappers list this morning. Hopping over here, we'll start with Piton, of course. I mean, they are up nicely this morning. A lot of us know the news already, but no, fill those in that are not aware of what's happening here.
Yeah, I believe it was Dow Jones News saying late Friday that there is a apparent bidding war maybe taking place for Peloton. Amazon's in that. I've read that some people think Apple is surely involved. So we'll see.
Yeah, will definitely be a whole lot of fun there, guys. We'll definitely take a look at that one. We'll be on our list this morning. So we'll get rid of this and we'll add some rows in here. And here we go. All right, so we'll look at Piton right there. All right, so Piton is good. 7 million shares traded right now, guys, up 31%. Of course, in play with some heavy catalysts there. Some big names being thrown around as well. Here is Save this morning. They're up 12.4, 1 million shares traded. I know you mentioned, was it Save or was it Love? I know there was news on Love last week, right?
Save. No, this is
It was
this
Save?
is
Okay.
this is new. So Save
Okay.
and Frontier are apparently merging.
Hmm.
Frontier was on the gap down list a few minutes ago. It's now dropped off that for the moment. ULCC is the
Right.
ticker there, but I think the trade on this one is Save. It's got 5 times the volume
Yep.
that
Yep.
ULCC does.
I see that there, guys. Up 12.4, 1 million. Definitely in play. This can trade very well when it has a catalyst and when it has some movement to it. Today it definitely does. We'll be watching that one closely. So we'll put save on the list here. Next we have Seed. Seed is 3.7 million shares flow. So a little bit on the lower side.
Yeah, this is
Not looking good though.
trash.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
looking good.
this is a Chinese agricultural company that issued guidance for the year saying they're predicting 300% revenue growth. I looked at this chart and I deleted it immediately.
Good choice. Yeah, not looking good, guys. Here, let's move on. Save we looked at already. ON, this is up 7.3. Semiconductor looks like here,
Yeah.
309.
ON Semiconductor,
Yep.
they reported earnings this morning.
All right. Pre-market not looking great. They looks like they're not a great trading stock. Definitely not one of the, at least for day trading, not one of the bigger semiconducting companies that we look at, right? Comparing to like a MU and everything else. So not a fan of it right now. I hope we can find something better. Here's all right. So Bitcoin looks like it's up a little bit, Norm, this morning. We got Riot, we got Mara, we got HUT showing some signs of strength here.
Yeah, there was some real volatility in Bitcoin last week with some massive moves intraday. So, that these are benefiting from this and showing up on the gappers list accordingly.
All right. We're gonna be definitely watching one of these at least. Maybe Mara. Mara. I mean, again, it hasn't been great. I'm gonna put them as possible just because they are. We got a few of these up. Let's have some kind of representation in our watch list for Bitcoin here. So we'll put Mara on our list for now. And I might stop here. DWAC. It's daily looks great, and we've seen some pretty decent stuff out of it. The price action, it's horrible, guys. I know this looks good. I know this is moving. I know we can get a nice little breakout, and we could be completely wrong, and it could be great today. I know there's a couple of days here. No, actually they did okay, but for the most part, I'm not a fan of the way this thing trades. So,
I tend to not put this on my watch list very often, just kind of the way you're saying. It
yeah.
doesn't really have that much volume this morning. When it moves on heavy volume.
hmm
There's
hmm
only 121,000 shares traded so far this morning, which is just barely enough to get it on our list.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it usually, when it does move or it's going to move, there's a lot of noise. I mean, it'll hit scanners, it'll hit the Benzinga squawk. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why you can not necessarily have it on your list and still get a trade out of it.
Yeah.
Somebody will mention it. Something will happen.
It'll be a good one for the scanners this morning, guys. Again, not a fan of it. If you look at Friday's action, here's the reason why. I mean, although we ended the day green, as you can see here, look how that was done, right? This is not pretty at all. I mean, that is brutal to trade, at least the way I do. This will be a nightmare. I'll be getting stopped out almost every time here. So definitely don't like that one. All right, well, one more, guys. AMC on the gapping up list. Let's see what's going on there. We no volume. No volume. 361 is not enough for us to look at AMC just yet. Right, daily looks interesting. We're leveling off here at 15,000. 15,000. What is a plane? We're leveling off here at $15, and then we'll see where it goes from there. All right, let's take a look at gapping down this morning. Baba leading the way. Looking forward to this one. This has 1.4 million shares traded, so that's very nice. Down 4% this morning. Yeah, definitely like what Baba is doing today. Norm, is this specific news to them, or is there some
Yep.
country
Yep.
stuff happening?
No, I mean, there's always that going on. Obviously, in the midst of the Olympics in China, there's some people concerned about things going on over there with that. I won't dig into it, but this is specific to Baba. I guess word is that SoftBank is about ready to sell a huge portion, if not all of their huge portion of this company. So.
Okay, okay. Definitely interesting news there, guys. I like what I'm seeing this morning on it. A lot of volume, good
Yeah.
movement, and it trades very well. You know, Baba has proven to trade very, very well most times. So yeah, definitely on the list. Let's look down here. BLDP, no, nothing happened here. No volume. LI this morning looks very choppy, and again, it's gapping down 2.3 is the only reason why it's on our list. Everything else doesn't look good on this here, so we'll skip on that. Norm, anything you like this morning going into this week?
Um, this is a little bit out there, and there's no volume right now, but CMCSA might move. Specifically on the Olympics, ratings have been
hmm
abysmal, to say to be conservative, and
Yeah.
the opening ceremony is huge. This is something I'm highly familiar with, considering I, for a long
Yes. Yeah.
time, was in sales for NBC and
hmm
specialized in Olympics. So, you know, it's that they pay a lot of money for the rights to that, and they're locked in the rights to that till at least 2032. So, if there's just people don't like the Olympics, it's a huge marketing platform for them. I'm curious to see if it sells off any.
Yeah. Definitely gonna have them here on our list, guys. We'll see. Again, normally we wouldn't have to like Norm explain, but that could be
They
very
don't
big for these
usually
guys.
trade pre-market very
They
much unless
yeah.
they have earnings, but they might do
Yep.
something during market hours.
So we'll be on the lookout for that one, guys. See what kind of volume we get in there. And let's take it to the room. We'll start with our chat room here. Let me move this over here so I can see the chat more clearly. And let me also, as we get ramped up to go this week here, let me move our YouTube chat here as well so I can see you guys also. Over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. It does help us out a whole lot. We're sitting at 94. 250, 300 is our sweet spot. We'd love to help to get there. We need your help for sure. All right, let's start with Michael. XOM this morning. Let's see what's going on there. Oxy's been very, very active. All these oil companies have been extremely active, as you know, doing very, very well. XOM doesn't do a lot in the pre-market, so we can't judge it by this too much. Already 2.7 million though, so you do have some volume. You know, it's not going to trade like an AMD, like an Apple in the pre-market. Normally doesn't do that. And not that this is a bad company to trade. You can definitely trade it, but it does require some level of experience trading these type of companies. Oxy is probably the closest thing to like a regular stock when it comes to this. But again, you just gotta have some experience on it. Right now, pre-market for Oxy is not looking great neither, but they've been on a hell of a run the last couple of weeks here. So definitely play. We can add XOM today. I'm gonna add as a possible. Just take a look at it because they do have 2.7. This pre-market activity, I hate to say it, for this company, this is actually pretty decent. You know, this is pretty decent here. So we'll have to see. The daily looks a lot better. Not normally something I will watch into the market open when the volume starts coming in. And even then, guys, you got to be careful. It can be very choppy. Your style of trading might not fit well with that ticker. Just keep that in mind, okay? PHUN this morning, we're taking off here a little bit. I'm not liking the stock most of the days. But today we're seeing some good volume, guys. 4 million shares traded right now. So we definitely got something going on that just seems to have started around 8:15. PHUN is not a low flow stock, sitting at 88 million shares. Let's get more information on what the news is. We'll put them on here for now. We'll come back to that. But definitely, whatever's happening, it's happening pretty big for them because they're doing about a million every 5 minutes here. So that could be decent for them. All right, let's head back to our list here. PHUN.
They announced a strategic political partnership with Campaign Nucleus. So I have not dug into that. This one is tied in with some of the Trump stuff, DWAC and all that. So it trades like a low float. It's not, but it trades like one.
Yeah, right now, guys, it's definitely moving like one. I mean, the volume right now, we're just seeing very careful. So PHUN, we have on deck Meta. Let's take a look at Meta here. Yeah, I think Meta, it will be interesting to see what Meta does in the next coming days here, especially this week. You know, you had the big drop down. And you guys know how I feel about this, right? Once you get that big drop, especially on companies that, you don't expect them to go completely bankrupt right away, right? They just have bad earnings, bad forward future outlook, whatever. I think you're just going to get some sideways action now into something can come in here and dictate whether we're going to bounce or not, right? That's usually what tends to happen, at least for the next couple of days. So I'm not sure how this is going to trade. It will be fun to still keep an eye on it because they're going to get volume. It's a ticker that has a lot of publicity and popularity. So we just got to keep an eye on it. But right now, there's nothing great about it pre-market at the moment, right? But it still will be a good one to keep an eye on. Ford, is Ford down to like $10 already? Not yet, but getting there. We're on our way. You know what? I hate to say it, but this could be a good one to get back down to reality here. I mean, they're down a 1% almost here, 1.1 million shares traded. There's no support. They didn't hold on to this. There's no support happening on this thing. Could be a good one. It could be. We'll have to see. Once it starts getting lower, it just might start trading like the way it was before we got involved heavily with it on every single day here. So it might just not be any fun. The fun might be over on that for us day traders, the way we trade. We'll have to see. Apple looking good this morning, guys. Daily looks great. We're up slightly here, almost 0.5%. I get rid of some of these levels here. And we got some good volume, 2.3 million shares traded. So yeah, Apple's on our list for sure, leading the way on the tech companies here this morning. P-Town we have on deck, guys, of course. Guys, up 30%. Definitely in play. Some big names and big news on that one. If you missed it, you can look it up there on our Benzinga little button, little icon there. Here's Baba we have on deck already, so that's good. PHUN. Okay, yeah, we looked at all of these. Let me head down. That's good. PLTR. No, light volume right now. The daily looks interesting. We have a lot of dailies that look like this because just what the market has been doing lately, right? We had the drop. We kind of had some pops and some gap downs and back up. So you're going to see this type of pattern, like building a base, in a lot of tickers, this one being one of them. I just hope that we can find something better today. Snap and Snap and Pins reported last week, right? And they did very well in their earnings, and maybe a continuation right now. They got the volume pretty much flat at the moment. Could be interesting though. And then Pins was the other one too that actually popped up a little bit as well, but it's not doing a whole lot. Maybe Snap can do something today. Possible for now. Million shares at the moment, so they definitely got the volume. Lucid, we know, can be very, very active. See what I'm talking about? This drop here, right? And kind of like the couple of bounces. Although Lucid and a lot of EVs companies been getting hit pretty aggressively.
It's a little strange, man. Apple, if you look at it, 2.3, 2.4, if you round it properly, million shares traded as of this morning. Look at the 5-minute. I don't see where the hell that volume's coming from.
Oh, I didn't even look.
Somebody's mentioned it's all on one candle at 732.
I don't see that.
I don't even see that.
There's nothing there.
I don't know. That go to the 1 minute real quick. Maybe you can see it there.
No, I see big candles, but nothing like that.
Maybe it was 732
near that.
Airtime or something. I
don't
know. I don't know where that. Same thing with XOM.
That's interesting.
XOM's got 2.7 million shares traded, and I'm not seeing anything. I mean, look at the average on those. It's like 2,000-3,000 shares a thing. It must be block trade that happened that's registering this morning from the close or something.
Yeah. Can there be a block trade register without a time? If you don't have a time, maybe you can't.
No, it's got to print at some point,
right? So yeah, very weird on these two here. But we'll keep an eye out for that. But that's definitely strange, especially on Apple, right? You don't expect Apple to have that type of
all right,
action.
So somebody's saying it's showing on Bookmap now. He's on TradeStation. Time and sales shows it's 172.39. How many shares was in that? That's Apple. How many shares was in that trade? Because that's previous day close. So that means it's a trade from the close on Friday, registering today. It's not on Bookmap, but it's on TradeStation. Time and sales shows it at 172.39. Do you see how many shares it was? 1.9 million. So the vast majority of that was from the close on Friday. My guess is it's the same thing on XOM.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, interesting. Thanks for sharing that there. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Let's see what else we have here. Riot. I have Mara. I have Mara on my list. You can look at Riot and everything else. A couple on there. I'm gonna keep Riot on deck. I mean, I have it as a possible because they have not been trading well. Even with Bitcoin doing what it's doing, they have not been all that exciting. All right, let's get to our YouTube chat here, guys. We do have Piton already, guys. So it's up here. If it's on this list already, we're gonna look at it into more details. Obviously, Piton in play. We're excited about that. I'm excited about that. We'll see how that goes. XOM is on here, guys. Ford is on here as a secondary. Snap, yes, I got Snap here as well on a secondary for now. It has volume, but as you can see, is Snap doing the same thing? I just noticed Snap is doing the same thing too, man. There's something. If you look at Snap, I'm not seeing that volume. If you look at the bottom, right, you got 1 million shares traded right now. You don't see that nowhere down here.
I'm curious.
Yeah, funky stuff this morning.
I'm curious if something's up because when I signed in this morning, it DAS said there wasn't a quote server available.
Yeah. I couldn't find my DAS icon. I kept typing in DAS and normally it comes up, and I couldn't find the DAS for IB. I'm like, what's going on? And I actually had to go to something else. So I don't know if anything changed. I doubt it, but
I don't know.
Interesting.
Weird.
Interesting stuff. All right, guys. So over on YouTube, you guys are giving us some of the stuff we have looked at already. The ones I do not see on there is AMD and NVIDIA. We'll look at those and we'll go to announcements. Then we have Creda to start the week and the morning off right here. So AMD, guys, this morning, yes, definitely looking good. 332,000. I like the daily on it. I have Apple up here, so I'm only putting AMD down as a secondary because I don't want to fill this up with all tech companies today if I don't have to. But NVIDIA, though, you know what? NVIDIA is going on my main list because NVIDIA has been really fun to watch, even more than Apple at times at least the last 2 weeks. NVIDIA has been great. So putting NVIDIA up there, guys, thank you for those two. And we are going to stop here for now. Daniel, you're not going to catch me with that today? No. So hi to you, or ciao, or however you want to say it. But we are all set here. Guys, let's go to community events and announcements, and then we'll come back after Creda to fine-tune this list.
All right, quick weekly rundown, guys. Got swing trade discussion with Brian, 2:30 in the afternoon on Mondays. We've been blessed with that actually quite a bit more often. But 2:30 is his scheduled time on Mondays. Onboarding with Carlos at 7 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Technology immediately following that at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll get into what the technology webinar is about tonight in a moment. Then trade reviews with Eamon at noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Success webinars, 8 p.m. Tuesdays. Psych webinars, 8 p.m. Wednesdays, usually, but not always. And then mentoring on Thursday, you've got Andrew at 11, you've got Ed at 4:30, and Thor at 8 p.m. with the new trader Q&A at 1 p.m. on Thursday. Then Jared's crypto mentoring session, 11 a.m. on Friday. All right. This week, we've got for our tech webinar tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, creating a business plan to assess your trading journey. The next week, you've got Kyle talking about part 2 of his advanced hotkeys for risk management. Tomorrow, you've got, this is the old one. So the top one is from last week, but the bottom one, Eamon will be doing his ABCD pattern webinar, 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. And then Kreda, who we'll be speaking to in just a moment, 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, talking about going deep to level up the Mental Edge series part 2. Thursday, as I mentioned, mentorship, Andrew, Ed, and Thor. If you have not checked it out yet, go to stocktradingsimulator.com to see our new web-based replay simulator. You don't have to sign up or enter any information in to use it. And it does not cost anything. You don't have to log in. You don't have to download any software. If you'd like to, you can sign up in the bottom right for emailed homework assignments, generally a couple times a week. We don't sell that list or spam it. And if you're watching on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, you'd like to do so, you can use the promo code PREMARKET24. All you need to do is go to barebulltraders.com, scroll about halfway down the page, click that test drive now button. When you fill that out, you click or use the code PREMARKET24 to get a discount off the normal rate. It is not a recurring payment. It is one time, 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room, does not auto renew. And then if you'd like to become an elite member and gain access to all the webinars I just described, in addition to the chat room, use the promo code LOVERS50 to get the Valentine's Day discount off the elite annual membership. Good morning, Kreda. How are you today?
Morning, Norm. I'm good. Hope you had a nice weekend.
I had a great weekend. I'm a little sleepy. I've had my son home for 4 days because we had ice here, but now he's back to school and I get to recover. So all nice. Good. Anyway, so today you're going to be talking about using your character strengths to improve your trading. So I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Norm. So today we'll take a breather from focusing on all the things that we're trying to fix in our trading, and we're going to flip it and actually go to the opposite side of this, which is focusing on your strengths. And this is something that's really important in trading psychology, in performance psychology, and in positive psychology as well. And performance psychology and positive psychology very much are aligned and kind of draw from each other. So just to explain, the discipline of positive psychology is the scientific study of strengths and how they enhance communities and individuals. And so part of this is looking at your character traits and, what makes you who you are, what are you really good at, and how can you actually capitalize on that information and apply it, well, in this context, we're speaking about applying it in your trading, but you can apply it in other areas of your life to enhance your strengths. So when we're looking through the lens of positive psychology, we're assuming that people want to live meaningful, fulfilled lives, and that they're looking to have the best experience possible in their work, in their play, if you like, and in other areas of their life. So we're very much coming from this positive perspective. So I want to explain what character traits are, your signature strengths are, and how you can figure them out, and then how you can actually apply them in your trading in order to enhance different aspects of it. And I'll explain how this doesn't necessarily have to be applied to fix something that's going wrong. You could actually choose an aspect of your trading that you're going to really focus in on and make it something that is your signature strength. So you're taking your character strengths and then applying it to your trading to make that part of your trading something that you are super good at. So kind of like your technical edge, but we're coming at it from the psychology perspective. So this idea of your character traits, so your character strengths. These are traits that you have, that you express in your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions that really enhance your life and that are considered strengths in individuals and communities. So that's a little bit abstract. But basically, it's what are those traits that you have that make you who you are, that you're really good at, and that people would nearly know, they would say, oh, X person is really good at this thing. So it's noticed by other people. So you know that they're strengths, but people also see it in you. There is actually a way to go and do this online. So I'm going to explain that in a second, but we'll stick with the theme for a second. So with your character traits, when you know what your strengths are in this perspective, you can actually apply them in your life, and it enhances things like your well-being, your sense of personal fulfillment. It obviously enhances performance, or we wouldn't be talking about it here. And it helps you to actually cope better with stress and distressing emotions. So all very relevant. You can see how this is starting to relate to trading. So if you can use your signature strengths in order to actually help you to manage your emotions, obviously that would be a very helpful thing to be applying in your trading. And there was a study done around these character traits and your signature strengths in students. And so they split the students into 3 groups, and they got one group to reflect on their strengths before they entered into the stress of exams, so like a period of exams. And they got another group to reflect on their weaknesses, and then they got a group to focus on just neutral things. And the group that focused on their strengths were actually much better able to deal with the stress of the exams and to manage their emotions around it. So it does impact performance. But again, let's make this concrete. So what are we talking about? There is research around this, and there's a really good website. It's the VIA Institute on Character, and the person behind it is Ryan Nemec. I think I'm saying his name right, but apologies if not. So you can actually go onto this website, and just to full disclosure, I'm not affiliated with them because there is reports that you can pay for, but there's a free one, so that's the one I'm talking about. So viacharacter.org. You can do a little quiz online, and it actually then gives you a report. So the free version will just give you the report of the strengths, and it lists your strengths from what you're best at to kind of what would not be considered a strength. And so it gives you, I think it's your top 5 ones. So the things that we're talking about are traits such as perseverance, honesty, forgiveness, love of learning, spirituality. So these kind of broad character traits that you might apply in different areas of your life. But how could we actually apply them to trading? So let's say that you're someone that came out with forgiveness as one of your key strengths, and this would apply to your personality. You could apply that then. You could decide that you're going to make one aspect of your trading really, really good, and that's going to be the compassion that you show yourself after you make a mistake or you have a losing trade. And you're going to make this a signature strength of your trading so that you can, in a split second, let go of whatever's happened before, forgive yourself, not beat yourself up, and move on. And that sounds like a kind of simple way to approach it, but basically even having the awareness of your strengths is something that can help. So if you reflect on your strengths and then you think about, okay, how could I apply this in my trading? Even just doing that will help. But then obviously the more that you deploy that strength over time, the more that you focus on it, the more you try and improve this area, the more results you're going to see. So that's a concrete one. Another concrete one would be perseverance. So obviously that would be the ability to keep going when you've had a run of bad days and you're actually reflecting on the idea that I know I'm really good at this in lots of areas of my life. I'm now going to bring this to my trading, and this is going to become one of the things that I'm absolutely brilliant at, is getting back up on the horse after a run of bad days, putting in my pre-trading routine, being super disciplined about that, doing my trade reviews, because I know that I'm really good at perseverance, and that's what's going to actually play out in my trading and help me to achieve my goals. But what about if it's something a little bit more abstract? So how about the spirituality one? So if that comes up high on your list, and it doesn't necessarily mean religion, but if that's one of your signature strengths, well, then you could think of that in terms of acceptance. So acceptance is a trait or a value that a lot of different religions and spiritual disciplines would preach. So you could take that spirituality signature strength and apply that in terms of cultivating this really good acceptance of the things that you can't control. So accepting that the market is going to play out how it does and that you have to sit back and read it. So you're not trying to control the market, you're accepting what's in front of you, and then you're working with what it presents. Or you might apply that in another way of, again, accepting losses and accepting that this is part of the game and knowing that a loss doesn't mean failure. It's actually just part of what you have to experience as a trader, hopefully not every day, but it is part of it. So you can actually, first you have to identify your strengths, then you want to think about how they apply to your trading, and then you can either choose to use them to bolster something that's not going well for you, to fix something that's going wrong, or you could actually choose to make an aspect of your trading something that you're going to take it, up to 110% from. Maybe you're already good at it, maybe you're 60%, but you really want to push it to that higher level and make it something that is now one of your signature traits, that you're so good at this in your trading. So it's just a way to think about bringing positivity and building on what works for you already and actually using that to enhance your trading.
Sorry, I mute myself, and for whatever reason, it's Monday morning. I could not get my hand to operate my mouse properly to unmute myself so I could come back on. Thank you very much, Kreda. That is awesome stuff. No. Can you remind people the website that you said one more time? Because I know somebody over on YouTube for sure is asking about it.
Yeah, it's viacharacter.org.
Okay.
I should also say, sorry, I forgot to say, the Quiet Your Inner Critic meditation is out on my YouTube channel now as well. So that is there and available for people as well. But that website is viacharacter.org.
Awesome. And if, speaking of her YouTube channel, you can, if you search it, Create a Performance, isn't that one? I get confused and I don't have it written down. I've lost my notes, but awesome. Cool. And check her out on Twitter, Create a Perform. Thanks, you, Kreda.
Great week.
Have a great day. Bye. You are muted.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, I noticed that too. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Give Kreda a big thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate her coming on every Monday to get us started for the day and the week here. So, all right, guys, let's take a look at what we have. So, Piton, definitely in play. Amazing volume, of course. Good catalysts are out there on this one. Saves looking good as well, 1.4 million. That's another one here. See, now I'm starting to look at the bottom with these volumes, right? And they're not showing. NEO was another one too that was a little funky. So interesting. We have 1.4 million here, but that's not registering down here. So tough to say if every one of these was something done the night before, the trading night before, meaning after hours. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll keep an eye on that. Either way, Save looks good. Baba looks good, 1.6 million as well. Looking great pre-market activity here. Great daily. Rather weak this morning. I like that one for sure. PHUN, this one hit or miss, up 20% right now, 6.6 million. So you definitely got great volume, and you can see here that started around 8 o'clock, 8:30 or so, 8:15 start to get going. So we'll see where this ends up. I have Apple and Nvidia next on my list, both which are really good. We'll do levels for both. I'm probably not going to keep both, but both of them can trade very well, especially Nvidia. So I like our list this morning. I think we have a couple of great stocks here that can do very well. And even our secondary list, we have AMD, of course, which is looking nice and has been trading well. You can look at XOM, Oxy, all of those are definitely have been trading very well towards the upside the last couple of weeks. But specifically, if you look at the bigger picture, obviously they've been crushing it here, right? CMCSA, we'll have to wait for the market open on this one. Bitcoin is up slightly, so I have Mara on here today. We'll see if that's going to do anything. Of course, we have to have Meta after what happened last week. Let's see if this is going to do anything. I only have it as a possible because I think that we can get some chop here, just kind of some sideways action into something else comes out that determines, this is an overreaction or this is a better outlook than what was, shown last week. We just have to wait for something else to come out here to either doom this company even more or start a little gap closing here towards the upside. So we'll see. Facebook, I like for not Facebook, sorry, Ford, I like for a short if we can get going. I think they're showing some good weakness, and we have Snap here as a possible as well. Also, good pre-market activity, maybe a continuation. Snap and Pins both had did great last week. We'll see if that can turn into anything today. Pins, not a whole lot going on this morning though, so I'm not even going to add it to my list. All right, let's get levels in place here, guys. We'll start with Piton. This morning we have 28.25. I'm not sure where I got this level from, but it looks maybe from last time we were trading it. Looks good here though. Looks good there. 25, 28, 20, 52. That's fine. High of the pre-market sitting at 33.42. So we'll throw a level there as well. And then above that, guys, if we were to get going, we have a nice level here at 37. Good area of support we saw here a couple of times, and then also became resistance right after that. Great area of resistance. You got a lot of change in direction happening right around that level. So that's good. Next on here, I'm just going to mark down the low of the pre-market. It's a little bit higher than this 28.52 level. It's sitting right at 29. So we're going to mark down 29, and we'll see where this goes. Losing it nicely here this morning from the highs of the pre-market. We'll see how this is going to be trading today. But again, very, very active pre-market activity today. Here is saved, guys. 1.4 million shares traded. Nice little pop here. Going sideways the last couple of hours. So not doing a whole lot, but it definitely in play. They have a catalyst out as well. 24.80, high of the pre-market towards the bottom. Right in this area, 23.91, you do have some kind of resistance happening here. I mean, we just could not get above this here every time we try. So push down every single time. We got to 23.91. A couple of times maybe hit 94, but either way, that area there, a lot of resistance. If you go back on the charts, you can see that has been a good support for this stock, good resistance area. So I expect that if we do sell down, that can be an area where you can find some support. And we have this morning already too, a little bit right on here and here as well. So we've seen some of that this morning. All right, towards the bottom, 23.10. If you look at this daily, you got a couple of things happening right around there. 23.10. So I'm going to mark that down. A couple of days opening, closing right around that area for save. If we were to break out of the highs of the pre-market, we do have this level right over here, 25.38. We'll mark that there. And then towards the top here, guys, we do have 26. And again, I don't think we'll get all the way up here, but 27.59 just in case. But the 25.38 looks very good. 24.80, obviously, high of your pre-market on safe. Baba, guys, looking good this morning. I like the daily on it. A little bit of weakness today. Very active pre-market activity. Again, these volumes are a little bit off of what I want to say. But if we look at the pre-market action, typically this is how Baba would look if we had this type of volume, right? So I don't think I don't know if there's anything missing here, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Very interesting. A lot of companies have this volume bars missing down here. If you look at Neo, if you look at Apple, if you look at XOM, we check those out. They all seem to have that volume just not being registered on the candles down here for whatever reason. 116.50 is the low of the pre-market on this one, and that you can see has done great support in the past. Right over here, see a lot of areas. Again, these are areas, guys. It does not have to be exact, but a lot of areas using that as support, and we're trying to hold on to it now. But I'm telling you, it looks rather weak. I personally like this one for an opportunity to go short towards this 111.72 level, right? The few times we have dropped, we have made it to this level. Nice little pop, little bounce there. That could be a nice area to get into. If we can get an all-day runner here, will be very, very nice. So definitely going to have Baba on top of the list, guys. Looks very good. Towards the top, you do not need to add anything. Over here, guys, tons of highs and lows from the last two trading days. Yes, if your screen looks blurry over on YouTube, make sure you go to the settings, and I'll show you guys, because I hate when they do this. You're gonna get a little mirror effect, but it's annoying. So I'm gonna take the time to show you this. Make sure you go to your little cogwheel here, your settings, and you change this over to from 240 or sometimes 360 over to 1080, 60 frames per second, right? That's gonna give you the best quality. YouTube will bring you down. There's something they do now automatically if they feel you're into this a little bit weak, or if they just do it and you don't bother to change it. They save on bandwidth on their end, so the servers take a little break. So make sure you do that. The screen should look perfectly fine on your end. All right, so Baba is good. PHUN this morning. I'm on the fence on this one, guys. I'm on the fence. I we'll do levels for it, but I am going to move it down as a secondary. High of the pre-market right now, 313. You also have a level here at 305. We're going to mark this down because you can see every time we popped up above that, we found a way to make it right back down. So you want to have that level in there. I know it's only a couple of cents difference there, but on a stock that's $3, that couple of cents could be a big difference, big deal for you. So I'm gonna mark that there as well. Towards the bottom, guys, we do have a couple of levels here. 284 seems to be a good one. You got some support here, here as well. You got some resistance on that level as well. Again, just a whole lot of touches overall on this entire level here around 284. So definitely want to have that down. And then below that, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Now, if this thing is going to hold, which we are holding here, look at the beautiful breakout, and now we're just consolidating here. Wants to break out. I mean, higher lows here. It looks like it wants to break out. If it's able to do that, towards the top, we do have 337 up here, and we also have some levels all the way up here. Obviously, we have 390, and then we have this one here at 370. Okay, so a couple of levels up there. But again, looking at it closely, let's leave it here. I'm not a big fan of it. I might end up moving it down before the market open. Apple stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. And also, if you look even further than that, last week, it's just been kind of just messing around between 176 and 170, just kind of stuck within this area here. Let's see what it does today. Gapping up slightly this morning. Do not need to add any more levels to this really besides the high of the pre-market, because the low of the pre-market is pretty much set for you here already. I'm just going to keep the previous day close is more important. I don't really care about this here. That's the low of the pre-market there at a 173.05. I don't care about that as much as I do this previous day close there. So looking good there on Apple, guys. Let's see if this is going to break out one way or the other. And then NVIDIA, again, very similar to Apple as well. You have the pop here just kind of consolidating between this 245 and what seems to be 236 right over here, the lows for the last 2 trading days. So in here, high of the pre-market is already basically the high of the last trading day. The low of the pre-market, 241. We can mark that there. And I think you're pretty much set. We just got to wait to see which way NVIDIA and Apple are going to break out of here. All right. Good start for the week, guys. We have a very active watch list here. Starting with Piton there, giving some back this morning off the highs. Save looking good. Good activity there. Baba also looking nice. Look at the drop on Baba here. Let's hope it doesn't get too extended before I can get my hands on that. Let's take a look at our moderators lineup, guys. Let's go over there and see what's happening. I'm gonna resize this. Bring this over and let's see what our moderators are looking at this morning. Over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, smack that thumbs up. We're sitting at 225. We'd love to get 25 more and be at 250. It would be amazing. We appreciate your guys' support there. All right, let's start with, make sure I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, let's start with Susan. Susan, Apple and Baba this morning. Secondary list, Lucid, Oxy, AMD, and NVIDIA. Dima is looking at Piton, Baba, and Apple. Peter, one SPAC opening up today, no IPOs this morning. His list, AMD, Baba, and Ford. Secondary list, Piton, Lucid, and Apple. Thor's looking at Piton, NKLA, Baba, Lee, and also Apple. Tiffany's looking at Piton, Baba. Secondary list, Apple, and Mara. Brian's list this morning, Baba, Piton, Baba, AA, Meta, Hut, and Gold. Gold there. He's looking at this morning. So Jared's looking at Piton, Snap, and a couple of BTC miners. And then secondary is AMC, Meta, and also some energy stocks. And Megan is looking at Piton and MU today. So that is our list, guys, from our moderators. Make sure you, what did I do? Did I minimize everything? I think I did. Let's bring back, let's bring back our trade ideas. Let's bring back our trade ideas. Why did I? Oh, I know what happened. When you move the thing there, it does that. All right, where's our trade ideas? All right, well, we're getting ready to end up anyway. So, guys, thank you so much for joining the pre-market prep. We appreciate it very much. We're going to go get live with the room now. So over, let me just make sure I yeah, okay, there it is. Everything's working now. Okay, so thank you, guys. We will see you tonight. Remember, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We have our onboarding class tonight, so definitely join us for that. We'd love to see you there. If you can join us for using pre-market 24 is the code, and you can join us for a whole week, 7 days for $24. You can't beat that. Get access to two different chat rooms. Onboarding class tonight, myself with other moderators. You can ask questions, get the feel for what the environment is like. So Guys, thank you so much. Trade safe, and we will see you tonight at 7 p.m. over on YouTube. Norm and I are going to go back into the chat and get ready for live trading.
That's right. Take care, guys. Trade safe.